Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Back. It is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast, where the Sooners fall 30-23 in improbable fashion in Columbia, Missouri tonight. Not what anyone had been hoping for, but Eddie and George joining us from up at the press box before they get kicked out. And by the way, let's get started with, we are brought to you by the Eskridge Lexus car dealership, the official travel partner. And you guys got your ride. Let's hear about the ride up to Columbia. That's got to be the most pleasant part of your trip.
Yeah, the only pleasant part was Grazzo's on Friday night, Carey. Unbelievable Italian food and an incredible experience with the Great Barry Trammel. But yeah, we have I believe it's an NX that we brought up to Columbia. And it's a very smooth ride throughout all of the rain events on Friday afternoon, getting out of the state of Oklahoma. And I'm glad that we arrived in one piece. With that said, what an embarrassing night for the University of Oklahoma football program. Brent Venables, everybody associated with the program should be embarrassed tonight. I think that we keep looking for that low point, and my God, I mean, I was going to say that we found it, but I don't know if they have with what they have coming up over the next 2 weeks, coming out of the bye week. So I don't know. I don't know where you guys want to start in this. I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, we've had people begging on the doors tonight, demanding to talk to Eddie to tell them what's wrong with the program. They had a little. They were, they'd been on Campus Corner, so they had a hard time understanding that you're actually in Columbia, Missouri, and it took a little while to explain to them that you can't be in two places at once. After about the third demand that we produce you for them to talk to. People are not happy. There's a lot of I've heard a lot of screaming on Campus Corner. The cops are rightfully so out and about, just waiting for some trouble. It's not a happy world out there. And look, I think we all know this has been brewing for a while now, and that's why we thought, guys, that this win was so important for this program and for Brent Venables, is to show people that there was some progress being made. And that things were getting better, and you were getting, Deion Burks back, and you're getting Jalil Farouk back, and the offensive line, might have been gelling. It didn't help that Michael Tarquin was not really available, even though he traveled, because he was not healthy enough to play. And what Sooner fans got was a flaming shit show in the last 2 minutes of the game. That. When you know that you've worked so hard and Zach Schmidt has gone out there and kicked his ass off, Luke Elzinga has a great call on the fake punt, 43-yard catch by Bauer Sharp. They didn't throw it to him behind the line of scrimmage on that play, which is always better. But all that happens. You put yourself in position. Billy Bowman scoop and score. Sooner magic. You saw it all over Twitter.
It was all there.
It was all there for the taking, and then boom, it all falls apart.
2:01 left. You've taken an improbable lead, maybe even more improbable than Auburn, because in the second half it was complete. I mean, for really, truly, the entire game offensively, they were terrible.
The throwback to Jackson Arnold was fantastic.
The what?
The throwback to Jackson Arnold that resulted in a touchdown.
I mean,
there were some really good moments in that game.
drive with Xavier Robinson just running over people to tie the game and then to look up and be given an opportunity to just be leading in that game, let alone by 7, you thought, oh my God, they're going to get away with it again. And then the bottom fell out. And it was the defense that, I think that a lot of people, myself included, felt like, Brent and this defensive staff, what they've been able to do with this defensive group, it really kind of was the backbone of the program, if you will, because everything else has been so poor, and they let them go right down the field.
Let me stop you, Eddie. This secondary has become a problem over the last month. It just has.
I mean, on the list of problems, though, is it one of the biggest? I don't know.
Well, I think I thought it was avoidable, and that's why I have the biggest issue with it. Is because
Carey, how about Jackson Arnold turning the fucking ball over every single time he touches it in big moments?
Well, we've seen that before. It shouldn't be a surprise, I guess. I mean, we thought that he was getting through this, but Jackson Arnold, I said this in the war room, Jackson Arnold now to me is the most talented quarterback since Landry Jones that just does not have the mental makeup to be a quarterback at a championship level. And I know that's going to piss some people off, but that's what I see out of Jackson Arnold right now. Just a complete falling apart of a young man, when things aren't going well. And it was like he started that game knowing his offensive line sucked. And he had happy feet early. He was nervous. Like, he was not prepared to start that game. I don't know what type of mojo Kevin Johns has been working with him, but it seemed like he went back to not having a quarterback coach or any kind of mentor to prepare him to play a road game in the SEC.
And you know who that falls on at the end of the day, Carey? Brent Venables.
But he fired his offensive coordinator. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, what more do you expect from the offense when they've already fired the offensive coordinator? And you know the offensive line is still shit.
I can't do this.
Is your cold making it hard for you to get to sleep and leading to a bad morning? Switch to Mucinex Night Shift for fast, powerful nighttime multi-symptom cold and flu relief. Mucinex Night Shift fights your worst nighttime symptoms to help you get to sleep and wake up ready to go. Mucinex Night Shift. It's comeback season. Use as directed.
George has retired from the podcast, I believe.
Wow.
I
predict he'll be back.
I don't see any other. I think he's finishing up a story. I don't see any way that this thing's getting better, Carey. Like, where do they go from here?
But did you expect it to get better? I mean, you expected them to win this game today because of everything that they were facing. Drew Pine starting at quarterback, basically not being that great of a team, getting their heads kicked in by both Texas A&M and Alabama. Like, you thought you had a shot, and you did have a shot at this game.
Yeah,
but this team has not learned how to win games. They have no idea how to win a football game that comes down to the wire. No clue.
Which is a problem, isn't it? I mean, we're 2 years and 10 games into this, and we're talking about them not finding ways to be able to win football games against a bad Missouri team.
It's just reached
I think it's a point of no return.
Yeah,
I really do.
I'm just shocked that you guys are so surprised they could be this bad.
Well, it's Carey. It's not that
they're that bad. It's just, I think everything it's kind of a culmination of a lot of things that we definitely didn't want to be true.
Yeah.
And they definitely are. And I think that's where you get to the point now where I just don't think that Brent can do it. I love the guy. I respect him. It just, the whole product, like in little things, having to burn a timeout at the beginning of the fourth quarter, because you don't have the right guys out on the field.
You don't think he showed really good clock management before half, though, to get that field goal?
I mean, yeah, sure, but that's easy.
Yeah, and they also got bailed out with a 15-yard personal foul that got him out by midfield. It just, there's so many things that are staring us right in the face, and I feel like we all know it, and it's just hard to admit it. This program's worse than what it what he inherited. And yes or yes.
I edited the instant reaction and I watched it, and I'm shocked, just by you two, basically, that you've got this far, because it gotten this far and being down on the team, because the worst is yet to come, fellas. Alabama and LSU on the road, that's not going to go well.
No shit, it's not, Carey. But that's how we've reached this point where it's like I think Eddie and I have reached the point. It's like, how did it get this bad?
It was like this was the last stand.
Yeah,
and they had it, and they just shit on themselves and completely.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did.
It
I'm not denying any of this.
And the truth is, they were bad all game. Right. It was not good all game. The defense was good for the majority of the game, but as a whole, the team was not good the whole game. They were up 9-3 at halftime. It should have been like 21-0.
Yeah, how many times are you going to give a team an opportunity off of really good field position, and you can't do anything with it? And George brought it up in the instant reaction. How many times are we going to have to watch Peyton Bowen fumble the ball on a punt? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. They fumbled the ball 6 times tonight. 6.
It's a very undisciplined, very unprepared football team. I'm sorry, that's what it looks like.
Well, but you guys know this too. When your quarterback is the guy that's responsible for your worst turnovers, that's a problem. Deion Burks just came back after being out more than half the season, and he fumbled. Like, okay, I can kind of get that. When Jackson Arnold is out there just fumbling off of his own leg and giving up a pick or a scoop and score, like that's what's cratering for a team. Let me play you this. I want to play you this audio. Here's Danny Stutzman. Shout out to Cade McFarland. It was on his Twitter. You want to hear the guy that went out there, played his ass off, the heartbeat of this team, just how defeating it is for a guy like that to watch this offense do what it's been doing. Here it is.
How tough was this one? Crazy way it finished. It's definitely up there. It hurt, man. It just, I feel like we fought our tails off the entire game, and just, it didn't go our way. And it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's painful. It hurts. At the end of the day, there's only one way you can go from there. You just got to try and get better every day. It hurts, man. It definitely hurts. What's up?
Were you guys just worn out emotionally when you got in there, or was it just frustration?
When you leave it on the field, you're going to be, it's hard. When you're in there, you're with your brothers. You do blood, sweat, and tears into the sport. From January, we've been going at it, trying to get better. And when an outcome like that happens, it's challenging, man. It tests your will as a man. It tests your love for this game, your love for the university. And it's hard when you leave it all on the field.
Is there any way to describe that turnaround?
No. I don't know what to say. There's no way to describe what happened. It's just the game of football. That's why you love it. It is what it is. Some things are your ways. There's highs and lows. And I think we just got to do better on those in those moments.
Hey guys, I don't know if you saw at the end of the game, I think when they were standing for the school song, he was in tears. Like, he was wrecked by that game.
Yeah.
That's the part that I think it's just like,
my heart breaks for that guy.
I was angry earlier when I yelled into the mic, and I shouldn't have done that, but I've reached points of like, this is just sadness. Like, it's depression. Like, just watching those guys come out tonight and have to talk to us. And then even Brent. He was
broken.
Totally
dejected in the post game.
Yeah, I sat in the conference room and watched it live. He has never. There wasn't even. He didn't even want to go through the motions of trying to build anybody back up. It was just devastation.
Yeah, this is one of those losses that, and I think that it's definitely reactionary, but it can tailspin a program for years to come. Carey, we made fun of the people that basically said that they were going to become the next Nebraska, and I think that is that's number one concern in my world right now. It's that bad. And it feels like there is no reprieve. It feels like there is no out. There's
and I know you guys talked about that in the instant reaction, and you look at it this way.
Crazy?
I look at it this way. Brent had to rebuild the program from the ground up when he got here. They got Dylan Gabriel. And they were able to keep some pieces, but remember how much that roster turnover was?
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file. Abbott Diabetes Care. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
When Lincoln Riley left, it decimated the program.
I mean, it was.
And you watch this defense, they still don't have the depth that they need.
He was supposed to build it back up, and the failure of this season, to me, lies completely on who they hired as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it started with Seth Luttrell, and he's been fired. I mean, in the middle of the season.
I know.
And it might cost him his job.
I know. It probably should. This what they've reached is unacceptable at this school. Like I mean, it's. I don't know how he can survive this. To be honest, it's hard for me to process because I've never seen it in my lifetime like this.
I want to see Alabama come in here before I'm ready to say that it can't be saved or it's so far gone. I mean,
Alabama's
they were up 23-16 with 2 minutes left to go in the game, and
Alabama going to murder them.
And that's what I'm saying. If Alabama comes in here and completely embarrasses them, and Jalen Milroe throws for 500 yards, and they can't do anything on offense, then I think. And here's the thing, guys: it's not what the fans think. It's not even what Joe C thinks. It's what Joe Harris thinks. It's what the Board of Regents thinks. Like, if it's what the big money donors think. Like, if they get to a point where they're just like, this is embarrassing, I don't want to put up with it anymore, then that 44.8 you guys were talking about in the instant reaction, somebody will come up with it.
I mean, I definitely think that, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I know for a fact there's some mega donors, and even Joe Castiglione, to a certain extent, just watching how he acted on the field at the end of the game, people are pissed, and rightfully so.
Well, look, and we've seen Joe come into post-game press conferences, not this year, but in previous years, be completely pissed. Yeah. I mean, it was clear he was in the back of the room steaming.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. Tonight was kind of a breaking point in a reality that I don't see right now how it can get any better, and how this can be not necessarily spun as a good thing or a learning moment or just a rough time. It feels like a program that is preparing itself to take drastic steps back.
I think, George put this in everybody's heads, but I almost think that Craddock and Mensah are the only thing that could save Brent Venables at this point.
I maybe. I don't even know if that's something that can save. Like, I've reached a point where it's like, can an offensive coordinator fix the fact that they?
Well, yeah, because like you said, if they're actually have an offense, they take advantage of that early field position. They're not just kicking field goals. When it gets to 2 minutes left, and Billy Bowman scoops and scores there, they're up by 3 scores. They're not just up by 1.
No, I agree with that. It just, again, you're in that moment. You're up 7 points with 2:01 left. All you got to do is get off the field. Don't confuse it too. They also completed a 3rd and 16, or converted a 3rd and 16. Like, that is what bad football teams do. They found a way to lose that game more so than Missouri winning it. And credit Missouri for the final drive and the way that they were able to kind of bounce back after just a shocking fumble. But I mean, that's the kind of shit that, if we're being frank and being honest with ourselves, when you lose a game like that, I feel like that's how coaches lose their jobs. That's how fan bases lose faith in a coach. The very little faith that people did have in Brent Venables going into today, I think it's just completely shot. And whether that's right or wrong, everybody's going to have their own feelings about it. I don't know. It felt like that was a point of no return, and it certainly is for me.
It felt for the first time, Carey, in the postgame, that Brent himself was questioning, like, everything that they've done. Like, yeah. It felt to me like he didn't even have Because like after most losses, he's been like, hey, we're leaning on the culture, the standard, all that stuff that he says.
I mean, you can't continue talking about the standard when you brought the standard down.
And that's what I think those thoughts are going through his head now.
I think Brent knew he had to win this game. I mean, I think he knew for his future to feel like, and I think we all knew that, like they needed to win this game for the fan base. That's just
we can't spend an entire week talking about how big this game is for him, and then on the flip side of it, when the game is lost like they did tonight, not go the other way. Like we would have been talking how great of a win it was, how great it was for Brent and the program to get bowl eligible, to move into this bye week. And now I think that there's massive questions about the future of this thing. And that sucks.
No, and there should be, and there's going to be. There is. I mean, it's unavoidable. So, look, I'm not sitting here saying, give Brent a chance. I'm not saying it's going to go how it's going to go. And it's the next 2 weeks are going to tell you whether people completely want to turn the page or something miraculous happens, which I don't see happening. You wanted to see progress, and you didn't see progress today in terms of becoming a winning football team.
Carey, do you think there's any way he keeps his job if they finish 5-7?
It depends on how it looks. I mean, do they lose to Alabama 28-13?
Let's say they lose 28-13, 28-10, something like that at home, and then they turn around to LSU and they lose in similar fashion, 20-something to 10, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, after tonight, I think people, if they play well against Alabama, people are going to expect to win against LSU.
And the toughest thing, and we talked about this on the way back up to the press box after we're coming back up off the field, George and I did, Carey. I think the fact that the thing that makes this one hurt the most, you have veteran players out there making the biggest mistakes of the game, whether it be the hold, which I know it could be debated if that was a hold on Woody Washington. Was it Billy Bowman and Woody over on the other side on the long pass play to Luther Bird? And
it was Jacoby Johnson that fell down.
Jacoby fell down. Okay. It just, I don't know. It's like, it seems like the people that are making the biggest mistakes are the most veteran guys out on the field.
And it just seems too that, obviously we've placed a lot of blame on Brent here, but like the rest of the coaching staff has some blame in this too. The fact that Spencer Brown was a top portal take, he was terrible tonight. The fact that Xavier Robinson hasn't
had a good moment all
George,
season.
that's probably my biggest personnel issue tonight is that where the has Xavier Robinson been all season? Like, if you haven't, I mean, and look, I know he's gotten some run in games here or there, but dude, that guy, like people talk about, you get a lot of they should have had Tommy Walker here. Look, if Xavier Robinson was running like that at the beginning of the season, like nobody be talking about, they should still have Tommy Walker here. I mean, he was unbelievable tonight. He had 18 yards on 2 carries as soon as they put him in the game in the second half.
How about Jacob Jordan got, I think, 1 snap tonight, and he dropped the ball on the 3rd and 6 or whatever, but how is that guy not
How do you
on the
go
field?
away from what's been working so well? I agree.
You get Burks and Farouk back, and it felt like they weren't
even in the game until Burks fumbled, and then he almost died on the field.
How are you not getting more passes to them in space?
Let's think about this though. You have to get Bauer Sharp the ball in his hands behind the line of scrimmage like 4 or 5
on
times
a jet sweep. My God,
running the damn tight end screen. I mean, my God. I just, how many times do they have to run that to know that it's not going to work?
Look, Brent needs to have a meeting tomorrow with DeMarco Murray and Joe John Finley. 1, let's get Xavier Robinson more touches. 2, stop throwing passes behind the line of scrimmage to Bauer Sharp. Sorry, George. I know I'm talking over you there.
No, I just said he needs to meet with Jesus Christ himself. That's who he needs to meet with tomorrow.
It's just, I don't know.
Are you renouncing God again? Is this where we're going?
It's just very, very disappointing because I think that like you could have dreamed up a million different ways that they were going to lose that game. I don't think any of them involved taking a lead with 2 minutes left after being down 7 and then giving up a what is it, 75-yard touchdown drive in 57 seconds, and then not only do that, but be a minute away from just headed into overtime, and then you somehow fumble the game away on a scoop and score.
All right, real quick, before we get back to it, I want to remind you guys, Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com. They send us on all of our trips and give us great vehicles to do so. And a lot of you guys have been hit with the massive hailstorms, still trying to get your cars fixed. Luckily, Eskridge has hail tents all over, and their new and pre-owned vehicles escaped without any damage. So don't wait weeks or months to get your vehicle fixed when you can just trade it in as for one of their new or pre-owned Lexus. You can also receive a $1,000 discount when mentioning that you are a scooper. So come by, test drive the new GX550, the NX that the boys drove tonight, the RX that they've driven before. I think you guys have driven just about everything, or any other great Lexus model. Just depends on what you want. Go to EskridgeLexus.com and check out their inventory, find out what you like, and even if there's nothing on there that you want, give Ed and the guys a call, 405-755-9000, and they are as good as it gets at being able to get you in the exact Lexus that you're looking for. I know we've had folks from Arkansas and Texas contact them, and they've got them taken care of. So a $1,000 discount when mentioning that you are a scooper, EskridgeLexus.com, and it's holidays coming up. You think of maybe... boys, either you thinking about maybe getting your parents a Lexus? I'm starting to think about that maybe.
Yeah, I think Ed and Karen would love one because that might be the only bright spot. I think the Radosevich family might be on the verge of canceling Thanksgiving and Christmas with the way that OU's playing right now. I'm a little bit worried about being home for the holidays.
By the way, also reminding you, Academy Sports and Imports holiday season is here, as Eddie said. Start of something fun. It's a season centered on when to shop, when to wrap, when to open presents. But Academy Sports and Outdoors, it's all about wear, because the best holiday fun happens outside, out there, on the driveway with a new basketball hoop, out back around the fire pit, or up on the deer stand. Maybe a good smoker or something if you guys are into that. However you shop, no matter your fun, they've got it at Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff at the right price, in-store and online at academy.com. Academy, have fun out there. All right. Guys, I think we just really need to have a talk about Jackson Arnold here, too. I don't want to beat the guy down, but...
No, it's obvious, though, Carey.
I mean, it was Tennessee all over again when I thought that, after Seth was gone and Kevin Johns was working with him, his mental approach was improving, and from the very first snap tonight, he just looked out of sorts.
Yeah, didn't he fumble on the first possession? I want to say he fumbled.
Yeah, it was first or second. I really can't remember.
I want to say it was the first possession he fumbled and recovered it on third down.
He had that look about him again that it's just kind of a deer in the headlights. But then again, I thought that there were some good plays, obviously, in the fourth quarter. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lying to myself. Has it reached the point of he just doesn't have it? Is that where we're at? And I don't want to use the word bust, but he certainly doesn't seem like he's been prepared. And, a lot of that has to do with not having a quarterback's coach, seemingly, for the first
and that's the hard
7
part.
games of
or
the
an
year.
offensive line.
Or an offensive line.
It's hard because I want to believe in Jackson, and I do think that there's a lot of talent there, but he just continues to turn the ball over in these spots, and it's like
critical every time.
Is it a development problem? Is it not being coached the right things?
How about the throw that he airmails Brennan Thompson on the first series of the game? Brennan Thompson has a step.
Oh, he would have been gone. I mean, he had his man. He had a step.
And he throws it right over the guy's head.
And I don't know if a quarterback's coach fixes that or not, but it just feels like OU never gave him a chance because of the way that they did their hiring process this last year. That
you talking about Jackson?
We've been wrong about a lot of stuff, but the idea
wrong about Seth Luttrell
of bringing Seth and Joe John around, it was a terrible decision.
Again, here's your targeting chart tonight. That one you mentioned of Brennan Thompson, that was one of 3. He also had a deep ball that he had no chance of catching down the field.
Absolutely zero chance.
Jalil Farouk had 3 targets, 2 catches. And again, Deion Burks obviously should have had the most targets. He did at 6, but he was tied with Bauer Sharp. Again,
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
What are they doing?
And the longest play for Bauer was a pass from the punter. I mean, I didn't realize it, but at halftime, Luke Elzinga had more throwing yards than the quarterback at the University.
They were equal. They both had 43 at halftime.
That's even more depressing that I got it wrong and that they were tied. I mean, what are we doing? What is that? I just don't. I don't know.
Maybe this was Joe John Finley kind of gacking it a little bit. I mean, he used to coach at Missouri. Maybe he was a little bit nervous about showing out and was a little off his game tonight.
I don't know.
I mean, I think he just isn't an offensive coordinator. No.
I mean, look, and let's stop this. Everybody that's like, Joe John Finley better not be back here. He's not going to be. He's not going to be back here. There's nothing that he's going to do to win the offensive coordinator position.
Yeah, I agree with George. I'm not sure that anybody's going to be back, literally. And I don't think it could have gone any worse. That game couldn't have gone any worse for the future of the program.
How is it though that, we come out of this game? By the way, I don't even see. I guess they just don't have enough room on the list that I'm looking at. How is it we come out of a game once again questioning a positions coach's rotations this deep into the season? And I'm talking about running back.
Yeah, it just everything looks so miscombobulated. There is no I don't know about foresight, but it just seems like there is no vision with what they're trying to do offensively. It's just throw a bunch of people out there and hopefully you get a play that works.
I've got a lot of grandbabies, like a lot. And when it comes to finding a gift for each of them, it could add up. But this year, while I was making my way through Walmart, I realized I don't have to spend a lot to get the gifts they'll love.
An OPI mini mani set. I'm gonna do so much nail art. Oh yeah, a Lego set. My own Awala water bottle.
Ooh, and that's just half of them.
Shop great gifts they're sure to love for $25 and under at Walmart.
Let me ask you this. What you saw out of Maine and some of the young guys, is there a future with the young guys on this offensive line if they stay in the program? Can they build a competent offensive line for next season?
They'll be more talented, I would say. But again, it's just like, are they being coached well? Are they being prepared well? From what I see every Saturday, the answer is no. I would be lying to myself if I thought that they could.
George, what do you think?
I'm questioning everything right now.
I mean, I have no thoughts. Sure, maybe. I mean, I like the potential of some of these guys. I actually thought Logan Howland played decently well tonight. I mean, Spencer Brown was an issue most of the evening, but
I would like to think that they
probably all just get hurt.
They can turn this thing around, but and that's a separate issue that we can tackle on the unofficial 40 or something this week. But I just don't understand. And we talked about this on the way up here, George, to Columbia yesterday. I don't understand how guys get hurt, and people get hurt across the country on every team. It happens. Injuries happen. It's part of the sport. When somebody gets hurt on this OU football team, they never come back. And I guess I say that Jalil Farouk and Deion Burks came back tonight.
Farouk tonight, he said after the game that they had some sort of plan in place, basically implying that like he was not going to play much. Like they were only going to play him in the first half because he didn't play in the second half.
I don't get it.
But like, what happened to Javonte Barnes? He rolls his ankle against Maine and then comes back in the game, rushes for over 100 yards after that. And then he just doesn't make the trip to Missouri.
Doesn't even come.
How does that happen?
And again, it's one side of the football. I mean, they've had injuries on the defensive side, sure.
Not like this,
but not like this.
And I think the thing I hate about it so much is it's caused a lot of fans to question the toughness of this team.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to them. There has to be something else going on.
This is you might have to bleep this out, Carey, but those people that were saying that Deion Burks quit on this football team.
He literally almost died on a field tonight.
Yeah,
busting his ass with 15 seconds left in the game.
If you're one of those people, I'm not even going to say it.
Don't say it.
I just those people irritate the shit out of me because these guys. I know the team sucks, but these guys want to play. I mean, Jalil Farouk was talking after the game about he wants to come back next year, maybe. Like, in what world would anybody want to come back next year to this shit show that's going on? But like, these guys care, so like, don't believe that bullshit.
It's gonna be. I mean, like I said, 2 more games to go, a lot to learn. I mean, this thing could turn really, really bad. I mean, it's going to take everything that Brent has as a coach to keep his job with these final 2 games.
I just can't believe that this is where this is at right now. I really can't.
I mean, I guess I'm like,
You could have pitched me on how the season was going to end or go in August, and I just don't think that I ever would have thought that it was going to get this bad. That we're talking about OU basically having to scrounge up $49 million to tell somebody that a lot of people love that he's not good enough.
Do you know what was the worst thing for me that happened today? Is I watched most of that Georgia and Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, wow, Georgia's defensive line really isn't able, or Georgia's defensive line, or Ole Miss's defensive line isn't really, they're getting through on Georgia's offensive line too. It's like, no, that's not a comparison you should make. Like, that doesn't mean OU's offensive line is better than we think.
Yeah, they whooped their ass today down in Oxford. And all these teams, and I think that's the thing that is maybe like the toughest thing to accept is that for years we made fun of people and talking about the SEC and what it was as a conference and the players within the conference, and
it's been eye-opening.
It seems like OU is so far away from just being competitive.
They are against those teams, not tonight. Watching this game tonight, there was no reason. I thought Oklahoma had as much, if not more talent than Missouri.
Yeah, they're not good. Like, Missouri's not a good football team. No. And we sit here and we're saying that as we're looking over the field, and they're 7-2 right now.
I mean, they got outplayed by Drew fucking Pine.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the breaking point for me as well, is that you had a backup quarterback. Everything was kind of lined up, and even in the first half, you had many opportunities.
They only gave up 88 yards in the first half. I mean, it looked great.
There was moments in the game you're like, Brent's got it. The fake punt, great call. It was awesome. It was perfect. Then you get a delay of game penalty. Then you get sacked on back-to-back plays.
And the delay of game penalty, he's over there arguing with the referee, like even before they sent him back out because they wanted it to get reset. And like at some point, you just got to eat it. Call a timeout. Yeah. Because after they got behind the sticks on the 1st and 15, I think they ended up losing 25 yards on that series because of sacks.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Just like it's little things like that you see and you watch as everything's kind of unfolding in front of you, and those are the little things that stick with me maybe the most about just the future and this staff in general. It seems like they don't get it. They don't have somebody that's over there being a head coach and realizing, hey, I got to call a timeout. Eli Drinkwitz is sprinting 40 yards down the field to call a timeout.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair because they showed Brent sprinting with the referee to call a timeout as well. And they were praising him for the fact that he noticed what was going on and made the timeout call. So Brent was sprinting with the refs too tonight.
I mean, I feel like it's all semantics.
But doesn't it feel though, Carey, that this thing feels like a mess at times on the field, like in terms of just field game management, play to play that this thing.
I don't know. You get so upset about a timeout being called. They still had 2 timeouts at the end of that game. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world in a key situation sometimes to have to use a timeout. Like, I watched plenty of football today. There's a lot of coaches that don't end up with 3 timeouts with 2 minutes left.
How many teams had to delay a game coming out of a timeout?
That's bad. That's bad.
But it's not just one game. This is 3 years now that we've been watching this. And I think that like the toughest thing for me is to know that they practice day in and day out for 2.5 hours or whatever it is. And sometimes it's almost kind of sickening how many times I turn to Josh Calloway down on the sidelines and it's like, what the do they do all week? How do you not have what package you need to run or the players are ready to get in there and do whatever they need to do? I don't know. It's very frustrating and it's very disappointing.
It's not good. And, tonight was bad just because they had an opportunity. And regardless of what happened, in 2 weeks against Alabama, you could sit there and say, okay, well, they got bowl eligible. They did what they needed to do. They're going to have all those practices. Alabama could come in there and kick their ass, and they're playing as well as anybody right now. They might be the best team in the country. I think they are. Well, when Milroe plays well, they are. But he doesn't always play well. But no, you've lost all that grace that you had built up or potentially built up. So it's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a rough ride for Brent. It's going to be a rough ride for us. It's going to be a rough ride for anyone that has mentions to deal with on X.
I apologize for getting angry at the beginning of the show. This is just really frustrating. Like, this wasn't...
I loved it. I love George quitting the podcast.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
But this just was like, I don't think any of us could have predicted this. Like, I felt like, yes, the 2 minutes were a disaster, but nothing surprises me with this team. I'm talking about this season, Carey. I'm not talking about...
Well, yeah, but I've come to terms with the fact that they've been since the offensive line became who they were. And we've talked our ears off about, or everyone listening's ears off about the transfer portal not working. It didn't work.
The offensive line has been terrible, but I don't think any of us could have predicted that Jackson Arnold would have been this bad either.
Yeah.
No.
And that's the scary thing, is that you can't sit here tonight and say, this really sucks and they got to go out and get some offensive linemen, but damn it, you have a quarterback. They don't have that.
No, I don't know that you can move forward with Jackson Arnold right now.
Michael Hawkins, because everybody's like, well, just you can't put Michael Hawkins in.
No, he's been worse.
He turned the ball over 3 straight possessions. And that's what that's why going back to, how did they not think that they needed to hire a quarterbacks coach?
I know.
With 2 young quarterbacks. And it just like, I guess at the end of the day, that decision should cost Brent Venables his job. And maybe that's unfair and maybe that's reactionary, but I don't know, for somebody that, and especially the coaches of the defensive side of the football, how did he not know or realize that this wasn't going to work? And maybe it's a fault of his own that he had too much loyalty or too much confidence within what Seth was doing.
I think at the end of the day, he thought that they could just keep doing what they were doing.
Yeah.
Well, and this is part of it too, is that even when you have a quarterback's coach, I mean, I've watched plenty of, we've seen Dylan Gabriel's the leading Heisman Trophy candidate right now. Like, we've seen him have some weird stuff where it's just like, what are you doing, Dylan? Like, he's done some of that when he was at OU. Every quarterback does that to some extent, but when you have a quarterback that tends to make some mental errors, I mean, Jalen Milroe's gone through that some this year. I mean, Carson Beck is a shell of his former self right now. Like these guys go in and out of it. It's rare when you do find a quarterback like that, they win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, when they just make play, like we saw it with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. I mean, Jaden Daniels did that at LSU. It's like every quarterback that wins the Heisman, they are able to limit the mental mistakes that they make as a quarterback, which is, go back to the early days when Jackson Arnold threw that interception into the defensive lineman's gut, like trying to get it to his running back. It's like, we saw more of that tonight, but there's nobody that's working on the mental aspect of it with him. And we're finding out a lot about Jackson Arnold, which is he needs a lot more coaching. For a guy that's as talented as he is, he wasn't ready-made for this.
And Carey, other guys make mistakes. His seem to be monumental. I put out the stat. He's now turned the ball over 11 times in his career at OU. 8 of them, the other team has scored, either scored defensively or the offense went down and scored right after. 44 points. 44 points he's basically given the other team.
Well, it's even worse when you've turned the ball over in the red zone, your own red zone.
Yes.
Get the Chris Ovens stat as well, which is just, Carey, I don't know if you saw this, but the great Chris Ovens.
I do follow Chris. I don't know if I saw it, though.
It's almost mind-numbing how catastrophic every time that they mess up and turn the ball over. It is so catastrophic, George. Read this off.
Every single turnover OU has recovered in SEC play has been reciprocated by either a turnover by the OU offense or a missed field goal within 2 minutes and 3 seconds of game time, with the exception of Kip Lewis's pick six.
It's incredible to me, their ability to take a monumental moment, a game-changing moment, and then just immediately throw it away. Like that's crazy. And I feel like that is almost, and maybe I'm just talking myself into this as we're discussing it, it's almost like it seems like a culture problem almost, that they don't know how to capitalize off of massive plays. And that's not changing. Like that's something that, as much as
not with this staff, no,
that's a cultural problem, is it not?
Well, it's also something that gets instilled by the offensive coordinator, which they don't have one. I mean, especially one that drills those guys. Like if they had a Kevin Wilson there, he would be. They would have a part of practice where they just ran plays following a turnover. Like these are our deep shot plays after a turnover. This is what we want to do after a turnover. I don't think that they're doing stuff like that. I mean, they're scrambling just to, get guys healthy and on the field and get their lineups. And I just think I don't want to use an insensitive term, but it's one of those, fire drill situations.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to piece it together, and there's too much going on, and the little stuff has definitely been overlooked.
Yeah. And this is like super inside baseball that nobody cares about, and I think it's pretty obvious, but I don't know how many more times I can hear a coach or, even one of the leaders on the team. It's like they all love each other. I get it. And they're working their ass off to try to get this thing better. But I guess at the end of the day, it kind of feels like everybody's just lying to themselves a little bit. Not that they don't each other, but I think everybody knows. Everybody that's been around this program long enough knows this just isn't good enough. It's so far from acceptable that at some point somebody has to pay for it, and they might actually have to do it literally and pay for it by firing somebody. But I just don't know where you go from here. There's nothing that can be taken from this season that isn't included in a conversation of it's an abject failure. It's a failure. They are the laughingstock of the country. They're the laughingstock of this new league that everybody was so excited to get into, really kind of blindly, almost not knowing that they were about to get their fucking ass beat every weekend. And again, I know that we've talked about this before, but you turn on Texas, your biggest rival, they're close. they might win a national championship this year. Oklahoma, they don't even deserve to be in the conversation to get a bowl game. I mean, we're talking about them trying to get into going into this game, it was all about just getting bowl eligible. What the fuck are we doing? This is the University of Oklahoma.
Well, that didn't start until after they started looking like shit early. Till the Tennessee game.
They've looked like shit since the fucking season opener.
I know.
I mean, I was going back and looking at the Temple game the other day for a story. They were bad against Temple.
Yeah, the defense made them look a lot better than they were offensively.
Yeah,
they were good against Houston.
They should have lost to Houston. If it weren't for a phantom muffed punt. Tulane, bad.
I don't know how they beat Tulane like that. That might be their best game of the year.
Because Jackson Arnold scrambled for a 24-yarder.
Threw that interception, remember? And then Jackson scrambled for the 24-yard touchdown. But
27, whatever it was. But
this team
they
sucks.
They would kill for a 24-yard explosive play right now from anybody.
It's not a fake punt.
Oh God. I don't know, guys.
I don't know. I think I've had to slowly, because I have to deal with the anger on game days on the Scoop account. I think I've put to rest my angst, because the fans give it to me back 50 times more than I can give it out. I know that there are a world full of Sooner fans out there that are pissed off beyond belief. Grown men, I thought about leaving the text group tonight with Gabe and Jared, because Jared is literally taunting me because it's so bad, and he thinks that I'm trying to cover up that it's not as bad as it. It's just
everybody mad, Carey. Every single OU fan.
It's no fun. Like you said, it's no fun. This is not fun. We don't enjoy this.
No, I mean they've turned.
I'm not going to sit there like Mike Gundy and tell you that you live in a basement and you're poor, because I know you have every right to be pissed off.
We're all poor right now. They've turned one of my favorite times of the year into just absolute misery in having to watch this shit every week. It's truly it's a miserable watch. It's a miserable product. And even in games that they're in, like tonight, I spent most of the third quarter in the back of my brain going, yeah, I mean, they're winning this game, but you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're just waiting for that breaking drive. And Missouri got it in the third quarter, which, by the way, we haven't even discussed it. 3rd and 13, 3rd and goal from the 13.
I know.
And they score on a screenplay.
You let Theo Weiss just turn into freaking Marcus Allen on you.
OU didn't run one screenplay like that all night. And I get what you're saying. Defense has got to get a stop there. But I watched that play and I said, why doesn't OU do something like that with Deion Burks? How's that not in the game plan?
Probably because the offensive line would knock him over because they got pushed where they weren't supposed to be.
There was, and George brought this up on the instant reaction, but there was nothing in the game plan to get Jackson Arnold some easy throws tonight, it seemed.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If you want to say the ball that he overthrew, airmailed Brennan Thompson, that's an easy throw. That's a throw that every starting quarterback in the SEC should make. No doubt. 100%. You got to make that play.
God, Ole Miss had a backup quarterback that went in after Jackson Dart got hurt and led him right down the field against Georgia today.
Yeah. It seems like everybody is more prepared, more deep than Oklahoma is, and we watch it every Saturday. Every Saturday.
I think the biggest indictment is just that OU doesn't even know its own roster. Whether it's Jacob Jordan,
it's fair,
Xavier Robinson.
It's fair.
I mean, Heath Ozida, go down the list.
It's like they have these they have these boxes that everybody has to check before you even get an opportunity to get on the field. And I understand that in a sense, but I mean, we're talking about everybody getting fired. At some point, have some type of desperation. And it doesn't seem like there is any. And it's a little thing, but...
And I did have that little thing in the back of my head today that was like, okay, so if Jalil Farouk and Deion Burks are coming back, but Jackson has developed this rapport with a Jacob Jordan and guys that he was running scout team with, like, is that going to take away from his comfort level in this game? Because now he's got two guys he hasn't been practicing with. And I think there's a certain case that could be made that some of that happened a little bit.
I don't know, man. I think he could have had Ryan Broyles, D.D. Westbrook, Hollywood Brown, and C.D. Lamb out there, and I don't know if it matters. That's how broken my brain is right now.
And they also would have found a way to not get all of them on the field at the same time. That to me speaks to the incompetence of this coaching staff right now, in the sense that how can you not find a way to have Jacob Jordan, Jalil Farouk, and Deion Burks all on the field at the same time?
I'm interested to see the snap count because, I mean, and I hate to just kill a kid, but the f*** was J.J. Hester doing tonight? What did he do? Did he do anything?
No.
I don't think he had a lot of opportunities.
He hit the ball thrown to him one time, I think.
J.J. Hester, I mean, God, he doesn't even show up on the short list.
No, he's not on the stat book.
He catch a pass.
There's so many problems right now, and it all just goes back to one thing, and it's like, how can Brent make this better? And right now, my answer is I don't think that he can. And it sucks to say that.
I mean, basically, all he's left to do is to get his defense to play harder because he's screwed offensively. And he's got a defense that's going to keep getting thrown out there with a quarterback that turns it over and puts him in bad positions. It's just an unwinnable formula.
The fumbling thing is crazy to me. That it's...
Dead last in FBS, 134th in football. Fumbles 23 this year.
They had 6 tonight. 6. We went through stretches in 17, 18, 19 with some of the historically great offenses that they never turned the ball over. And a lot of that credit has to go to the quarterbacks. Kyler, Jalen. I know that he had his own fair share of fumbling problems early. Kyler and Baker. It just, I don't know. I'm rambling.
They probably need to kick you out of the press box now.
It's miserable, Carey. It's fucking miserable.
And it's 2:30, and we still have over probably about a 2-hour drive back to our hotel.
Yeah, I think you've done your due diligence for the night. I think it's okay if we save this for Monday with Josh. That's cool.
We're leaving.
All right, guys. Thanks. We'll see you again.
I asked them if they could find me hard drugs in Colombia earlier.
I bet you could find them if you got to the dorms. All right. Thanks for listening to the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. We'll be back next 2 weeks after the bye week for another edition of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.